welcome to the WPH Aces Players Championship recap show. I'm Dave Fink alongside Dave Vincent. Dave, it was an amazing weekend here in Salt Lake City, just like it always is. Our second consecutive Players Championship here. We had the Senior Championship, the Women's, the Race for 8, a number of amateur divisions. They could have had 500 players here had they not cut the entry off at 130. But Dave, let's talk about our champions, starting with the Senior Race for 8. Marcos Chavez defended his Senior Race for 8 Players Championship, also ended the year as the year-end #1, defeated Tom Sheridan in the final. Tom Sheridan, an amazing tournament, his first ever Race for 8 start. He qualifies, he takes out Chris Watkins, he takes out Andy Shad. Marcos Chavez advances to the finals, defeating Dan Zimmett and Dan Armijo. Dave, Marcos Chavez, so impressive.
Yeah, no, he looked really good all weekend long, but Marcos did something that Tom Sheridan also did, is that they both entered that men's top 16 and qualified here, both over the age of 40. They got in with the young guys, and they both qualified. They had a nice path there, but that was wearing on their legs, and then they both had to go multiple rounds in the 40s. They both clashed in the finals, and you saw them there with that replay, and it was just Marcos Chavez able to make some amazing plays. It was tied early on. They kind of traded back and forth. You didn't really know who was going to win that. Marcos got to 15 first, but it was not without a little bit of strife and battle there as Tom Sheridan came back, almost tied it before the 15th point at halftime.
Well, it was an interesting moment because Marcos dominating that first half. He goes up 14-6, and you thought the first half was over. He scores the 15th point, but the ball broke, and the momentum just completely changed there. Tom scores 7 straight points. He's back in the match. We saw a great second half. Amazing performance from both guys. We hope to see them both back next season. Dave, shifting to the women's now. Katrina Casey, this is her 7th women's Race for 8 start. We've only had 7 women's Race for 8 events. She's now won all 7. She made it through her side of the draw very easily, as she's always done, but she faced her arch rival, Aisling Riley, who defeated Martina McMahon in a tiebreaker the night before. Very close match. Aisling comes out today just on fire, takes out Katrina 15-2 in game #1, and you're thinking maybe this undefeated streak is going to come to an end, but Katrina Casey does what she does. She finds a way to win.
Yeah, now she started off game #2 with a nice 6-0 lead, and then 8-1, 8-2, and then you felt like, well, this is going to be that dominating Katrina Casey that we've seen throughout the season. Already in this tournament, she put a couple zeros on her opponents as that path toward the finals. So you say, well, Katrina Casey's back. You know, she had that loss against Aisling, and then you saw Aisling starting to pick away at game #2. That ended up being 15-12 in favor of Katrina Casey, as Aisling made it a really close game, and there were a lot of fans here in Salt Lake City at the Sports Mall all talking about just how great Katrina Casey was playing there for game #2. Game #3 became interesting, just like game #2 was, as Katrina Casey got the lead, and then Aisling Riley started picking away again, and it really, in the end, was just Katrina Casey was putting together some remarkable shot-making plays. And I don't recall her being a shot maker, more or less kind of a Tony Healy hybrid, Dave Chapman type style. She was actually going for shots that I don't recall her doing in the past, and I think that's what it took to get past the mountain of Riley.
Yeah, well, it's certainly, Dave, in 7 women's Race for 8 events and hundreds of matches, probably the best one we've ever had, and it was for the finale here and for the Players' Championship. So it'll be Katrina Casey etched onto that trophy once again. Dave, we shift to the Race for 8 now. Sean Lenning. He comes in here, Dave. He just seems like he's been improving with every event. In Houston, he looked almost unstoppable as he made his way through the final and lost to Paul Brady. Other points throughout the season, he looked unbeatable. He was upset in the semifinals in New York in the previous event by Andy Nett. That was a shocker, but up until then, he looked great. Mondo Ortiz, though, Dave, makes it through the toughest part of the draw. Remember, he comes into this event 6-8, having not made it to the semifinals one time all season in 5 events. He takes out Luis Cordova, a guy who had beaten him before, Emmett Peixoto, a guy who'd beaten him 4 times in a row, and then Luis Moreno, the WPH #2, a guy that he's only beat once in their entire career, dating back to when they were 14 years old. Mondo Ortiz looked like, Dave, he would be our Players' Championship, winning that first game against Sean Lenning 15-3, but Sean Lenning does what he does. He got himself back in that match, relied on his serve, his speed, his shot making, and he's our Players' Champion.
Yeah, it was very similar to what happened in the women's. I mean, you just look at the women's score line at the very end. You had Katrina Casey losing her first one 2-15. It was Sean Lenning losing his first one 3-15. It was Casey taking game #2 15-12. It was Mondo Ortiz taking game #2 15-8. Excuse me, Sean, the other way around, Sean Lenning taking Mondo Ortiz 15-8, and then he wins that third one 15-9. Very similar. In fact, the games were very similar as well, with one exception. there was a highlight reel being put on by Mondo Ortiz. The crowd was in it for both the men's and the women's finals. It's exactly what you want here at the Players Championship. It's exactly what you want on a national scale for the fans that are watching back at home as well. But Sean Lenning, you can tell there was just a different Sean Lenning this whole weekend long. He was saying to himself, almost as if he saw a sports psychologist, he was saying, everything's beautiful. I feel great.
Yeah.
I love the guys that I'm playing. I'm having a great time. It's all good. And he just kept on smiling. And we were talking about his birthday. Oh, I love it. I love what I'm feeling. This isn't what we've been seeing from Sean at all times. Sometimes we see that. And when you and I see it, we love it. But all of a sudden here, he was embracing it and telling everybody, I feel great. I love being who I am. I love this age that I'm turning. Turned 30 yesterday. And Sean Lenning really showed it on the court. Less angry, more positive, a lot of great vibes. And the crowd loved it. I mean, they really soaked it in.
Sean Lenning, Dave, undefeated in his 30s.
Okay.
Obviously. And Sean Lenning certainly earned this title, Dave. We live in the same town, and we see the kind of work that he's put in, and undoubtedly Marco Chavez and Katrina Casey putting in that same amount of work. So we've got that trio, Katrina Casey, Marco Chavez, both repeating from last year's Players' Championship. Sean Lenning winning his first Players' Championship. What a roster there, Dave. Absolutely incredible. Dave, we wrap up this Race for 4 season. Amazing. Every season seems to be better. We have better participation. The hosts seem to be even more enthusiastic. We have new sites that are always wanting to have us come in. And Dave, it's really a credit to our team, the WPH, what you've done, what our camera crew has been able to do, the support that we've had from our players. So Dave, I want to thank you. Outstanding season. Wish you the best on your elbow surgery recovery. And we're going to have a lot more in store, Dave, in the WPH in the coming months. The Race for 8 will kick off again in October, but between now and then, we've got WPH Outdoor. We've got a lot of junior clinics planned throughout the country, and it's a very exciting time.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting because WPH is celebrating its 10th anniversary, and this is sort of a year-long celebration that we're going to have, all the different stops that we go to and the places that we visit, plus our perspective. We're going to look back and see what we did right, where we failed, where we're at now, where we're going to go. And I think it's like a moment of reflection. And I think anytime you reflect on where you've been and where your company is currently at or where you're going, when you make that reflection, you realize the things that you're doing right because people are telling you, and the things that you're doing wrong, you need to make changes. So I'm not anticipating major changes, but I am anticipating that we're either going to put our foot down to the pedal and exploit the good things, or we're going to just kind of soak it in and feel some of that synergy that we're getting from those that are shaking our hand and patting us on the back. It's going to be an exciting time moving forward. Certainly can't wait for the U.S. Open of Handball, the World Championships coming up before that, Vegas tournament coming up in September, the World Three-Wall Ball Outdoor Championships. You see the people, the players, the fans all enjoying the vibe and wanting a little bit more of that, and they want to kind of soak it in and be a part of it. And you can see now at every single stop that we go to, every function that we're a part of, it starts to grow just a little bit, and that's really the excitement. We wanted 10 years ago, and it's now kind of happening. Now I feel a little bit more than last year. This stop has certainly been the best I can ever recall, but we always say that after every event, but this one is
they
just
seem to be, though.
It started, Dave, when we took the side banner off the side wall, and it opened up
create a whole different energy in this complex, and you could feel it even when you walked in the door before you even got in to see the banner was down. But Dave, there's so many people to thank, so many people that made this possible. I'll probably forget a few people, but Dave, I want to thank yourself, Lolita Vincent, Jeff Kastner, Gene Kastner, Chris Garrad, Linda Manning, Matt Titano, all the people behind the scenes, all of the players, our players champions that made it so exciting for everyone to come out here and watch this handball. They make what we do, Dave, so enjoyable to watch because they're so talented and they put forth that effort. And want to thank our hosts, the Stahlsberg, Lonnie and Matt, and Matt's wife. I mean, just absolutely incredible people. They've gone far and beyond what we could have ever hoped to have at any event with the banquets and welcoming. And Dave, we're fortunate, and we're fortunate to have such a great team. And we look forward to seeing all of you very soon on the WPH Outdoor Tour, on the Race for 8 Tour season, maybe both. We're seeing a lot of crossover play. But, Dave, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks to you once again. Thanks to everyone at the WPH. Thanks to all our players. We'll see you soon.
Goodbye. Good night, Dave.
This broadcast of the Players Championship is brought to you by MineSight, the global leaders in mining software, by Tucson Rolling Shutters, by Mesh Clark and Rothschild, and by Simple Green. Simple Green's all-purpose cleaners concentrated formula provides up to 30 times the cleaning value.